we saw that Time Magazine did a cover story on Colin Kaepernick. We were wondering earlier this morning if Time Magazine would consider Colin Kaepernick for the Man of the Year, and then all of a sudden we realized that he's on the cover of Time Magazine. And Sean Gregory is the person who profiled Colin Kaepernick. He's senior writer for Time Magazine. Sean, thanks for joining us. How did this come about?
Thank you, Dan. The movement has just spread. The acts of peaceful protest, kneeling during the anthem, we've seen it across sports, spread throughout the NFL, Megan Rapinoe in soccer, and high school teams, college teams, middle school teams, high school volleyball teams. So, he definitely sparked an action of the sort that we haven't seen in sports and society, maybe since like the 1960s.
Did you talk to Kaepernick?
So we did not. We hope to, and he's, choosing to, I guess, let his actions, speak for themselves. So no, we did not. But the story's more, it's talking to a lot of different people about their reaction to this. We spoke to Nate Boyer, for example, who's a Green Beret who met with Kaepernick and made great points about how he might disagree with the method, of kneeling during the flag, but he respects Kaepernick's right to do that, and he fought for Kaepernick's right to do that, and he appreciates that he's taking advantage of what he's fought for. We spoke to Jim Brown, civil rights activist, was right beside Muhammad Ali back in the 60s, supported him, and Jim Brown said, of course, he supports what Kaepernick is saying, that the extrajudicial shooting of unarmed black men has to stop, but he disagrees with the method, and doesn't think you should challenge the flag. So I think the nice part about where this debate has evolved, I think when Kaepernick first sat, there was so much anger. And then he evolved. He met with Boyer. They decided, kneeling might be a more reverential, respectful gesture. And now you're seeing everybody kneel. And then when you talk to folks, some of the high school players we talk to, they make the point that when, like, a player gets hurt, you kneel, right? So it's a sign of respect and reverence. So maybe, and what Kenny Stills from Miami said, maybe we shouldn't be calling this a protest. It's more just kind of raising awareness of what's going on.
Well, even Tebow time, he took a knee as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of do you think there's going to be negative reaction to this cover story?
I don't think. Yeah, yes, definitely. I think for some people, the sight of Colin Kaepernick on the cover might say, oh my gosh, he's doing this for attention. Oh, now he got what he strived for, and I don't think that's right. I mean, you got to remember, Kaepernick didn't go out of his way to advertise that he was doing this. It was just somebody noticed, and then Steve Weiss from NFL.com noticed and asked him about it. And so, yes. And the reason I think there'll be negative reaction, sadly, is just the negative reaction that some folks have gotten for kneeling. For example, this middle school team in Texas, a bunch of kids took a knee, and they got death threats online. Terrible, racist name calling and all this stuff. And that's just, it's really sad to see that, and it makes the point that Kaepernick is protesting clear, right? It makes his point for him that things, aren't great, and you see that by the reaction to what he's doing and what other people are doing.
Yeah, I wonder what's next, Sean, with the athletes or this protest, or how do they take it to another level, or do they?
That's a great question, and we spoke to Chris Paul on this, and even he said, listen, yeah, I know the symbolism is great, but we got to act, we got to get going. And there's two schools. One school of thought on this is it's not up to the athletes, right? I mean, they're not politicians, they're not policymakers. They can get people talking, and then let the professionals take over. But I think some athletes are taking steps. Malcolm Jenkins from the Eagles is set up either this week, next week, or the week after, a ride-along with Philadelphia police. Harry Edwards, the sociologist who spoke to and helped organize the Black Power salute in 1968 and spoke to the Seahawks about these issues, he's encouraging barbershop talks. So maybe the first step is awareness and then dialogue. And ultimately, improvements in police community relations the folks on the ground. It's a complicated problem. It's hard to solve, but I think the athletes are aware that you have to start doing more than protesting or these signs of disagreement. And whether these signs of disagreement are going to continue, it's really interesting. Victor Oladipo of the Thunder said, he expects this to happen for some folks in the NBA to do the same thing. So now, as the NBA season starts, it'll be interesting to see if it carries on. Because remember, at the ESPYs, LeBron and Chris Paul and Carmelo and Dwayne Wade kind of made a strong statement. Stepped out of the comfort zone that athletes have traditionally been in over the last 20 years, where you don't engage on these issues. We're seeing a total reversal of that.
Sean, thanks for joining us, and good luck with the cover story.
Great. Thank you, Dan.
All right, Sean Gregory, Time Magazine.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.